everybody, Brenda here with My Pastor's Wife Designs, and this is a card in the series that I was featuring using the beautiful You stamp set from Stampin' Up, and that is this set, and it's a nice set. It actually is a two box set, which is awesome, and it has turned out to be a really versatile set. I wasn't so sure about that when I got it, but after I got it, I have used it and used it and used it some more. For this card today, we'll be using the gal that's just kind of dancing there in the puddle, and then the saying, life may not be the party we had hoped for, but while we are here, we might as well dance. So those are the two stamps that we'll be using for this card. Then we will also be using a piece of Whisper White thick cardstock. It is cut at 11 by 5.5 and scored, or no, I'm so sorry. It is cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and it is scored at 4 1/4. And then we have a piece of our Mosaic Mood Specialty Designer Series paper, and it is cut at 5.5, and then it is just cut the width of the design so that you have that whole design. And then we have another shorter piece of it, and it's about, I'm going to say probably about 2.5 inches, and that is just so that we can get her dress in it when we stamp that. And then I just have another small piece, and it is this design, and I just have a piece so I could cut the hat, or stamp the hat and cut it. And then we also have two pieces that are both 3.5 by 3.5, a piece of Whisper White cardstock, just the regular thickness, and then a piece of the Crumb Cake, also cut at 3.5 by 3.5, and we will be using our stitch shaped framelits, the circle one, the largest circle, which is this one, and then in our layering circles I am using the scalloped one, also the largest one. So let's go ahead and start our stamping. So the first thing that we want to do is get out our tuxedo black ink, or you can use StazOn. It is really up to you, whichever one you like the best. And then our stamp and my cardstock, which I'm going to go ahead and just give it a quick fold with my bone folder and open it back up. And then we also want to grab an envelope, because we want our envelope to be stamped as well. So first thing I want to do is ink up my stamp really well, and it's this one again with her dancing, and I will just really ink that up well. And I want to just stamp maybe not even all of her, but part of her down in the corner of my envelope. I try to do it on the left hand side of the envelope so that it doesn't interfere with addressing or anything like that. It can really depend on your post office who is going to be happy with you. And then we have our 3.5 by 3.5 white. Stamp as close to the center. She will go off the edge a little bit when we cut her out, but that is just fine. So I like to try to stamp her as close to, so I have room to cut my circle, but still has room to have her in it. So there that is. While we have this, we're going to stamp just the inside of our card as well, and it is going to be, again, I just want this in the black and white, and I think I want her, actually I'm going to put her over here so I can show you. I probably am not on the screen very well, in that corner. So when it opens up, we'll have a sentiment right here. I'm going to set that aside for a moment, and I'm going to pull in my small piece of Designer Series paper so we can stamp that, and I'm going to line her dress up, and I'm going to have to go a little bit kitty corner. Actually, I may even just lay this down so I can see how I want it. Okay, and then I'm just going to give it a press like that, and I may just come back over here with a block and just give it a press down. That way I can kind of see where I lined up my paper and not waste my paper. So there you go. So you can see that I have the dress, and that's all I need. And then I want to stamp her hat. Again, just ink this up I don't really care where the hat goes, just wherever, and give that a stamp as well. And just let that dry for a few moments. Okay, while that is drying, you are going to want to stamp the front of your card up here in the corner, and I'm using the Life May Not Be the Party We Had Hoped For. And I want to make sure that this is lined up. So I like to line up my block. So you'll see that I have my block here. And I like to line my block up on a line. And then my head's going to get in the way for just a second, but I like to make sure that my words are lined up. Okay, so I have that lined up. So now I know that when I put my card face down here and I want this up in the corner, I will have, as long as my card is lined up on grid lines, and let's hope I'm right here. As I said that so assuredly. Perfect. It's exactly what I wanted it to do. So we have that stamped. Let's go ahead and get our girl here, and let's just do a little bit of quick coloring. I have some Balmy Blue, the Stampin' Blends. I have Light Balmy Blue and Dark Balmy Blue, and I will start with the light. Just going to come into this puddle and add a little bit of color, and then come back in with the dark and just add a little contrast. That is all we're going to do there. And then I have my ivory, and I want to color her legs and her arms. This stamp is probably one of my more favorite versatile ones. I've been able to do graduation cards where you actually draw the gown on, winter cards where we put sleeves on the dress, for Christmas, just all kinds of really fun ones with this particular set. So there you go, that is your coloring. So you're gonna step away and use your dies to cut out your shapes with the white and then with the crumb cake as well, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have those cut, and now we have to do a little bit of trimming, fussy cutting. This is the dress. I've let it dry. That's why I went ahead and did everything else, is because I'm using this particular designer series paper. It has a shine on one side of it, an embossed side that is shiny, and so it just takes the ink to dry just a little bit longer, the permanent ink, and so that's what we did, is we just let that have some drying time while we did our cutting. I'm going to leave the hair on here. I was going to cut it off, but I'm going to leave it on, and we'll trim, and we'll just put some color on it with the markers. I think that will be easier than trying to trim around her hair, and that will be just fine. And there is her dress, and then her hat. Again, I move the paper more than I do the scissors, just because I get a cleaner cut. All right, and that is cut. There we go. Now, like I said, I think I want to put just a little bit of color in her hair, but I'm going to put the dress on her first. So first things, we're going to use some snail here, and this is a very close fit around the edge, so just, you know, eyeball it, but make sure that it goes clear around so that you don't leave any edges not covered. And I like how it just gives a simple, real tiny edge to that. And then let's go ahead and dress her really quickly. Again, a little bit of extra snail because I'm putting that on the embossed side of that paper. And then her hat. And then just a symbol, just put her that on her right there, and then I will take this bronze Stampin' Blends and just go ahead and kind of fill in her hair right on the paper. There we go. All right, so now we will go ahead and just assemble our card. So I have my piece of Whisper White, heavy or thick cardstock is what we call it, I guess. Again, just going to go over that with a bone folder and really give it a nice press down. And then this strip of our Designer Series paper. And again, snail, just some snail to hold it down nicely. And I'm going to run that down the edge here, well, about where I want it so that everything will just kind of fit nicely. And then I want her kind of down here in the bottom, and I will be using Stampin' Dimensionals because I think they give just, I like that little extra pop off the page. And I'm not stingy with these because I want it to lay nicely. And then just go ahead and get your backs off of them. All right. And I think I want that just about right there. And there is this card. Now I'm going to show you one that I've just stepped up a little bit because sometimes it's just so fun to add extra stuff. Okay, so for this card base, I went ahead and I used one of the other stamps in this same stamp set, and I used this particular one just to add a little more interest. I have a little more time for this card, and I stamped it using the Balmy Blue. I stamped off a little bit onto my paper and then stamped it so it wouldn't be quite so dark. And then I'm going to go ahead and I will be adding again the basic black, which is our tuxedo black. Again, you can use StazOn, use the whichever black you like. Tuxedo seems to be my go-to lately. And then I'm just going to stamp right over the blue. So you see that just gives a little bit of an extra something to it. You go ahead and give it its fold. I will still mount this right here, again using the snail. Running it up this side here. All right. And then on her, this one I just did everything the same color. I didn't cut out a separate hat because I liked the way this one looked. It was okay. So sometimes it really is going to depend on how you place your paper. And then again with the dimensionals, we will mount her the exact same place. All right, again, I want to just mount that about right there. And then I want to take some linen thread and I want to just make a small bow. I really like our linen thread. I think it ties really nicely. It's easy to work with. I'm just going to trim that. Trim it with whatever your favorite scissors are. And then I'm going to just put it kind of right there. Using a glue dot, I will just put that right about here on the card, above my circle. It just adds a little tiny bit more, because sometimes we like to add more, and we like to, as I like to say, just give it a little more oomph. And then you could also add some sequins or something like that, but for now I think that's where I'm going to leave this. I just wanted to show you a couple other options. So you see, just by adding the bow and the little pop of color, we've popped that up just a little bit, and we have two really pretty and simple cards using the Beautiful You and Mosaic Mood Designer Series paper. I hope you enjoyed this card, and I hope you will try it. And I hope you join me for the next in my series using these items. Thank you for watching. I am Brenda Paulsen with My Pastor's Wife Designs, and I'm hoping you keep it creative.